Okay, dear friends, let's go. We have to jump straight back in. I want to just review what we did last class because we are moving further and forward into our malacha. This malacha, we said, is probably the most important and prevalent one in a Jewish home on Shabbat, unless, of course, you work as a... That's very sweet. Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm always thirsty. Thank you. It's very kind of you. It's probably the most important malacha because we spend most of our lives cooking and heating up our homes, heating up our foods. So a lot to discuss in this one. And that, of course, is the malacha of Bishul. And we mentioned last class that Bishul is going to fall into one of two main areas. And they are davar lach and a davar gush, a solid. Okay, we started to speak about this last class. If you close the door, I'd appreciate it. Thank you so much, Esther. We started to speak about davar lach last class, right? Does that sound familiar? Anybody? Yeah. Is anyone there today? Okay, come off of Instagram or TikTok, whatever you're doing, and join us over here. Great. So we talk about heating up a liquid, and we said that in order to be over, to transgress, the malacha of Bishul with a davar lach is to heat up the, would say water, but it's going to be any liquid, to a degree of, yeah, that's one opinion. But it's called a yad soledet bo. Yad soledet bo, which Rav Moshe says is about 110 degrees.
How hot did the other one say?
It's around that.
Oh, just
I don't remember how else they put it, but it's enough the hand retracts. Listen, it used to be they would touch it, feel it, and be like, okay, that's hot. You know, they didn't have internet 2,000 years ago. They figured out when Shabbat was in and out based upon the stars. That's the way it used to be. Now things have become a lot more. Same thing over here. This is a temperature, and we gave last class other temperatures so you can figure out how hot that is. Once a liquid like water hits 110, you're over on the malacha of Bishul. All right? Okay. How about a solid? At what point is food cooked? That it's edible. According to who? Naomi, according to who? Your edible, my edible, someone else's edible? Medium rare. Someone took it to a restaurant last night. Medium rare. That's how you want it.
That's also subjective.
There are people who want well done.
No, medium rare. That's crazy.
Insane. It's madness. Madness. The waiter's expression when you say, well done. No, it's going to be a definite level. And we're going to learn it out from a very unusual place. A thief. A bandit. Whose name was? Drusai was his name. His first name wasn't Machal, right? His name was Ben Drusai. Okay? Ben Drusai was his name. And the level at which he would eat is called Machal Ben Drusai. Anyone heard of this guy, Ben Drusai? Okay, good. Because when you learn Hilchot Shabbat Bishul, this is your go-to guy. He was a bandit, a thief. I don't know anywhere else in Judaism when we learn halachot from thieves, right? But this is one of them. And he used to eat his food on the run, right? Because he's a bandit. He's a highway robber. He's running around. The rabbi's like, well, at what point was he willing to eat his food when it was only partially cooked? So that, my dear friends, is a machloket, a difference of opinion between... Can you repeat the question? Yes, I can repeat the question. We're trying to figure out, we know from last class at what point liquid is cooked. You have water from the faucet, you put it onto the fire. Once it's 110, you have transgressed the malacha of Bishul. That means if you just start to warm up water and It's only 50 degrees. Take it off. Right? Because you haven't transgressed yet. This is the tipping point from I am not breaking Shabbat to oops, I just broke Shabbat. Good name for a show. Oops, I just broke Shabbat. Okay, so that's going to be the water. At what point is food cooked? So we said we're going to learn this out from someone called Ben Drusai, because he would have a meal. And his meal was eaten at the bare minimum of being cooked. The bare minimum of being cooked. So what precisely, at what point was Ben Drusai known to have eaten his food? So here we see a very famous machloket between Rashi and the Rambam. Yeah, Rashi and the Rambam. And Rashi tells us that the level at which food, according to Ben Drusai, was cooked was 33%. When food hit 33% cooked, yep, that's Rashi's interpretation, 33%, you've hit. So you've got a raw piece of chicken.
This is also subjective.
Well, it's a little subjective, but it's also pretty objective, I guess, right? Well, let's say a person did. That's a good question. You ask it, let's say a person likes to have their steak medium well done. So it is a little subjective as well. It is a little subjective. But Rashi says there's still a point where it's completely cooked. Once you hit 33%, it's cooked enough that you are now transgressing with a devagosh of solid, the malacha of Bishul.
Is this like when you're reheating?
Not reheating. I got a raw piece of chicken and it's Shabbat. And I'm like, okay, time to transgress Shabbat. You take your chicken, stick it on the pan, and you start to cook it. It hits 33%. 33%, but how do you know when 33% actually is? You do. You figure out, no, they didn't have thermometers in those days. You figure out how long it takes to fully cook it, and then cut that into a third. So let's say a piece of chicken takes an hour, 33% of an hour. There you go. Around something like that, yeah. So once you hit a third of the full cook time, according to Rashi, you've actually transgressed Bishul. The Rambam disagrees. The Rambam says that actually the point at which Ben Drusai, because we don't get a time amount, we just told that Ben Drusai would do it. The Rambam says it's actually 50%. When you hit 50%, you're over on the malacha of Bishul. Is that a stringency or is that a leniency? Is that a kula or a chumra, would you say? You have more time for it to sit. So according to the Rambam, that is, he's more lenient, right? He is more lenient over here. We're going to use these percentages again, and it's going to flip. It's going to become a stringency for the Rambam and a leniency for Rashi. I'm going to explain to you why that is a little bit later. Right now, according to the Rambam, it's Shabbat. You're like, oh, time to make my steak. How long does it take to cook a steak? I don't know, 5 minutes on the barbecue, whatever it is on each side, 10 minutes altogether. Once you hit the 50% time point in the full cooking process, yeah, you're over on. So if you remember, 40%, according to the Rambam, you haven't actually broken Shabbat yet. If you hit, but according to Rashi, you have. Yeah, because Rashi has a lower threshold. We are strict like Rashi over here, but we can rely upon the Rambam if need be. Okay, that's how it works according to Machal ben Drusai. You are not allowed on Shabbat to warm up food, to add food onto a fire if it is 33% or 50% or even 90%. It has to be fully cooked in order to reheat. Okay? It has to be fully cooked in order to reheat a piece of chicken. What is that called? Very good. Let's just write those words down and let's commit them to memory because you're going to need them for your life. For life. And your final. It's going to be on both. Achar Bishul. What this expression means, my dear friends, is that it is not considered cooking after it's once been cooked. Once a piece of chicken has been cooked, kol tzurko, here's another Hebrew expression, a lot of Hebrew expressions for bishul, and they're like unique to the laws of cooking. Once a piece of meat, so this is ein bishul achar bishul, sorry, I should add two more words. Davar gush, when it comes to a solid. We don't usually say that. We just say in bishul achar bishul, with a solid. Once it is mavushal, here's the extra expression, mavushal kol tzorko. Tzorko. Once it is fully cooked, that means it takes 1 hour to cook it, and you be cooking for 1 hour. It's cooked forever. I don't care if it's now cold. Once it's cooked, it's considered cooked. You can take that chicken and warm it up on Shabbat. Now the rabbis are going to show us how to reheat that chicken. They're not going to let you just put it directly onto a fire. For reasons I shall explain. And that's when the whole blech thing kicks in. But that's not yet. That's rabbinic. On a Torah level, once that piece of chicken is cooked, once it's cooked forever. Ein bishul achar bishul, but davar gush becomes to a solid. So what does it become? Muvushal kol tzurka. It is fully cooked. Erev Shabbat, Tuesday, Wednesday, it's in the fridge. According to the Torah, you can warm it up directly on the fire on Shabbat. The rabbis are going to say, hey, take it easy. Whoa, whoa. They're like, take it easy, this whole warming up stuff. We want it to chill out a little bit, or heat up in this case, but you have to do it in a very specific way. Yes.
So just to clarify, if someone cooks something 70% of the way, they aren't allowed to put it on the fire?
If they cook something, when? On Shabbat?
Before Shabbat.
So on Thursday, they are not allowed to warm up that piece of non-fully cooked, because they are finishing the cooking process.
Even if it's subjective, how, like, when something...
Well, that's very interesting. Okay, so that's an interesting question. Let's say it's a rare steak, and they want to warm it up. For them, if they'd eat it rare, and it's edible like that, and they want to just warm it up again, they're not fully cooking it, then I think, I'm going to look it up for you a little bit later, I think it's going to be okay.
It's also different than, like, having it 50% of the way cooked before Shabbos and leaving it on.
Oh, okay, whoa. So now, okay, let's do it very, very carefully. You're asking a very good question. The question is this. Wait a minute. What has that got to do with having a piece that's not fully cooked on Erev Shabbat and put it on? That, my dear, is purely rabbinic. You are allowed to take, according to the Torah, we're in the Torah world right now, a raw piece of steak, stick it on Erev Shabbat, and forget about it. 0%, 30%, 80%. We are in the Torah. The Torah prohibition is only on Shabbat. You're talking about a rabbinic enactment that we're going to add later on. Right now, we're talking about warming something up on Shabbat. That's it. We're in the Torah world. The rabbis are going to say, well, don't do it if it's only partially cooked from before Shabbat. But putting something on Friday on the fire and let it cook into Shabbat, you've done nothing. It's like turning on a light bulb, Erev Shabbat, that goes into Shabbat. Starting a fire, what's the difference? That's rabbinic. So that's why I want to separate. We're going to do the Torah aspect, then we're going to add the rabbinic gezerot, the little rabbinic pieces they added in order to protect Shabbat. So you're discussing as rabbinic, and we're in the world of Torah. We good? Fabulous. Yes, Hannah.
I don't get it. If 33% is cooked, then why is 70% not allowed to reheat?
Because it's not fully cooked, and that remaining 70%, according to the Torah, is cooking.
So what's not cooking?
If it's fully cooked.
So I don't get what 30, I don't get it.
It's Shabbat morning. I take my raw piece of chicken and I stick it on the pan on Shabbat, knowing full well it's Shabbat. And then I become a Baal Tshuva. I'm like, Allah Hashem, I got to take that chicken off, according to Rashi, before it hits 33%. Now, let's say I cooked it Wednesday and I cooked it 33%. I am not allowed on Shabbat, according to the Torah, to put that on the fire on Shabbat because it's not fully cooked. It has to be Mavushal Korosuko. This is finding out at what point something is cooked.
But what does it do from raw to, like, what's the difference between putting it on raw and putting it on a little bit?
Okay. It's just telling you the threshold at which you've actually hit. When it comes rabbinically, it's gonna affect it.
Like you're saying, if you had like I don't know why, but let's say you had already cooked it 10% of the way before.
Yeah.
You put it on and it only reached 30%.
Yeah.
Been a problem.
Okay, you shouldn't do that, but according to the Torah, you've done nothing.
Okay, that's what I meant. Yeah. Okay.
According to the Torah, you've done nothing. The rabbi's going to be like, yeah, don't be doing that. Right? They're going to a lot more than that. It's coming. But let's go piece by piece. But are we clear so far? And if you haven't got this point, we can't move forward because we're going to get stuck. Maya Aronson.
So the Torah prohibition is that it has to be fully cooked?
Okay, that is not a prohibition.
No, I mean, in order to reheat it.
In order to take, according to the Torah, if you want to cook a piece of chicken, warm a piece of chicken, it has to be fully cooked. Yeah, it has to be fully cooked. Okay. That's on Shabbat itself. Stuff from before Shabbat, that's purely rabbinic. The rabbi's going to start messing around with Erev Shabbat. But there's nothing in the Torah that says you can't put food on a fire on Erev Shabbat. Are we good so far? I want to just take this idea and jump back to the liquids. Okay? I want to jump back to the liquid. Let's say I have a cup of water. And I boil it on Wednesday. Wednesday! It's now fully cooked, bubbling away. Yad Saledet Ba plus, extra. It then cools down and is cold once again. Can I warm up that liquid on Shabbat? That is called a lach, a liquid, she nitz ta nen, a liquid that has become cold. It was cooked and now it's cooled down. How come I can take a piece of chicken on Shabbat and stick on the fire because it's fully cooked? I fully cooked this water. It cooled down. The chicken also cooled down. Why can't I take my cooled down water that I boiled, or my cup of tea, or my tea essence, and it's now cold? Why can't I warm it up on Shabbat? I mean, the assumption is that you can't, but why not?
Because cooking water doesn't change it. Water is water, whether it's hot or it's cold. Besides the burning down.
That is good. What is that called in Shabbat Hebrew parlance? Yesh bishul acha bishul b'davar lach. It's the opposite, right? Yeah? Yesh bishul achar bishul. Right? Then there is. We say that. Now there are opinions that say actually maybe there's not, but we don't go like them, and the general accepted halacha is we say yesh bishul achar bishul b'davar lach when it comes to a liquid. So even though you fully cook that liquid or that soup fully on Thursday or Friday, you stick it in the fridge, you cannot warm it up on Shabbat because it went back to its original state. That is between a liquid and a solid when it comes to cooking on Shabbat. Yeah.
What about soup?
Soup is a liquid.
So how do we heat it?
Very, very good. You cannot reheat a soup on Shabbat. You can reheat if it's majority solid, let's say you want to take the chicken out of the soup and warm that up, even though it's got like a liquid attached to it, a little bit of rotev, right? That you can do. That you can do. Like saucy meatballs, that's okay. Yeah, chicken out of the soup, no problem. Other people who won't, but if there's a little bit of rotev, a little bit of sauce on it, a little bit of liquid, okay. But a pure, clear liquid, you cannot warm up on Shabbat. If you earn that you boiled Erev Shabbat and it's now Shabbat, came unplugged and it became cold, you cannot warm it up.
What if you keep it on the warmer throughout, like before Shabbat?
That's fine, yeah. Yeah, then it's staying hot the entire time. Yeah.
When you boil, like I'm just thinking of when you boil water, obviously it does something different to the water. The water after it's boiled is
Yep.
a different state.
Yes. It's hot now.
No,
Is what
I'm
it is.
saying in the sense like I'm thinking of like with baby bottles or like purified water that they sell. It's water that's already been boiled.
Yeah.
So
So,
that it's, and it like, I remember my aunt used to do that for like the bottles. For,
yeah.
like,
She would warm it up. I don't think she should make a yad saleh bo, or she'd burn the baby's mouth. So she would warm it up. That's going to be okay. Warming it below yad saleh bo is going to be okay. Once it's yad saleh bo, then you're in. Yeah. Are we good so far? Okay. Can we move on to the next piece? Yad saleh bo is the technical term for it's hot. How hot? If I touch it, I'm like, ow, I have a boo-boo. As we say in my house. Ow, I have a boo-boo. Are we good? Let's move on. We're going to use all of these ideas later on, but that's on a Torah level, how cooking is transacted. Okay. Let's make a cup of tea together. Who's excited? Yeah. Me too. So now we know that liquid that is heated up on Shabbat hits yad saleh bo, cooked, muvashal, you're in trouble, 110 degrees, but as long as your hand retracts. Meat, once it's cooked forever. If it's not fully cooked, you can't warm it up on Shabbat. Leaving it from before Shabbat, at this point, before we get to the rabbinic restrictions, no problem. If you put anything on Erev Shabbat and let it go into Shabbat, you've done nothing wrong at all, right? I didn't do anything. I didn't do any action on Shabbat. I could turn on a light, I could turn on a fire and walk away. It's not Shabbat. I didn't break Shabbat. I did it all before Shabbat. The rabbi is going to be, okay, take it easy, but that's the way it works, okay, when it comes to these things. So what comes next? So what comes next is fine. I know that I can not put food into a pot on Shabbat because it's going to cook it. I can't roast it. I can't fry it. Right? You can't do tigun. You can't do sleeves. All these things that cook foods are going to be a problem. How about something that's not on the fire? Secondary heat. Can that cook? No. That's on the fire with an interruption between it. What? We're going to have to say halachic because this is one of the few areas that halacha and science very clearly take different paths. But there is a little bit of understanding that we can look at even based on it. Okay, this is called the world of kalim. The world of kalim, vessels. So this is the stuff you've all heard of before, and you have in your minds a little bit of understanding, but pretty much none of you have a full understanding of what's happening and how it's working. So let's go through this phase by phase. Let's go slowly. There ain't no rush. I got nowhere to go. I don't have a social life. So let's go through this piece by piece. Has everyone heard of something called a kli rishon? Yeah. Okay, got that. What is that? What? First degree from the source. Sounds like murder.
No, it's like you're taking hot water from the urn and putting it into that first cup.
I thought the urn was the
You're off a little bit. Okay, so we have, let's go slow. It's okay, it's good. This is good. We have a kli. Yes, I went to yeshiva and did not study art at all, unfortunately. And this is my kli, right? Rishon al ha'esh, on the fire. Here's my fire. Okay? And this pot, this kli, is considered rishon because it's directly al ha'esh, on the fire, and that is the fire. See that? Okay. Can this thing cook other objects in it? If I were to take an egg and throw it inside there, am I cooking? Yes, you are. What's that called? Yeah, Bishul, I guess. I don't know. I don't even ask that. I don't know what the hell you call it. Yes, that's called Bishul. Correct. Okay? And you throw an egg inside there, any food inside there, you have cooked and you are over on Bishul. Correct. Let's say I were to pour, I'm going to take that off, take it off the fire. Oh, by the way, just so you know, fire for us, we're going to actually connect as well. If there's a wall over here and the plug over here, right, and it's plugged in over here, right, this electricity is the same thing. Anything plugged in is plugged in over here, is considered Kli Rishon al ha'esh. That is the most cookable ability we have. Good. It could be a frying pan on the fire. It could be putting it directly into an oven or on an oven. All of that is Kli Rishon. Let's say I were to transfer the liquid from this into another vessel. Okay? So here's my second vessel. It could be a bowl, it could be a cup, whatever it is. And I've transferred this. I've taken this pot. I'm now going to turn it like that. And this is my Kli Rishon, yeah? Yeah. There's my Kli Rishon, right? And it's not al eish. I've taken it off the eish, although not necessarily. And the liquid is now coming into here. What is this? Kli Sheni. This is called a Kli Sheni. That's it. It's not al eish. It's off the fire. It's a Kli Sheni. What is the status of cookability of this item over here? The water, bless you, the liquid, because there's liquid in here, right? It's like coming off still. It's steamy. What is the status of this? You have a question, you have an answer? Yeah.
Let's say, is a bath a Kli Rishon?
Is a bath a Kli Rishon? What are you cooking in the bath?
No, nothing. Like, if you want to give a bath.
Okay, you're asking a very good question. If it is Kli Rishon, I would not put a baby in there because you'll kill it. But it would be, it's getting the water into the bath is going to be the problem because you cannot use the hot water faucet outside of Israel. I'm going to come there. I can't get there yet. I know you're going, but you're in a different area over here. Anytime you take hot water from a pot that's on the fire, you take it off the fire, or it's now an urn. We now turn this into an urn. What's an urn? Yes, it is a kumkum. And what's its status halachically? It's a Kli Rishon al ha'esh. Yeah, an urn is a Kli Rishon al ha'esh. Are we together? And now taking the liquid out, and I'm going to pour it into my pot. This is a little Kli Rishon, a Kli Sheni over here. Here's my Kli Sheni. It's a little baby one, little baby Kli Sheni. I've taken the water out, and it's dripped inside here. Can this thing cook things? No. Kli Sheni does not have the power to cook things. Now here is the science digression. Is that the right word? Who knows? Divergence. According to science, the temperature of this liquid could well be Yad Soledet Bo. But according to halacha, and that's a very basic scientific experiment, you have to be a genius, right? So your hand retract. And yet, the rabbis are like, yeah, but this does not have the ability to cook. Hold on. Don't bring three. Wait, just go slowly. What's everyone rushing over here? Hannah, I got you here, sister. I got you. Right now, can this thing cook? The answer is no. It does not have the ability to cook other things. There are going to be exceptions, and I'll get to in a second. Why not? Let's just see why. The general rule is that Kli Sheni is not able to be mavashal, not able to cook. What has happened? And this is important, and this is the bit that none of you know. That's why I'm here. That went from this to this. What exactly happened? Although according to science, this is Yad Soledet Bo, but the rabbis are like, no, this does not really have the power to cook. Most things. Hannah, most things. What has happened? Two things have happened. Number one, there's been an irui. I'm going to translate the word for you. Irui Kli Rishon. Irui means this pouring, look at Abba's finger, right? And this pouring from the Kli Rishon into the Kli Sheni, just passing through the air, cools it down a little bit. It cools it down. Okay? It has a cooling effect. That's number one. Number two, so it's irui. Number two is, what are you trying to figure out here? What's actually happening that changes this from cooking ability to this that is not cooking ability? Number two is called dofnot Mekararot. Calm down. I'm going to write it down for you and I'll explain. Dofnot Mekararot. Dofnot is a fancy way of saying the walls, like Dofen, probably Aramaic. The Dofen, that's probably Hebrew as well. Dofen is the walls of a sukkah, for example. Just means the walls. Don't be scared by the word. Dofnot means the walls. Mekararot. What's mekar? What's kar?
Cold.
Cold. So mekarot, remember mem, beginning of a word, makes it causative. The walls has caused the liquid to cool down. Dofnot mekararot. So two things are happening to the water from Kli Rishon into Kli Sheni that makes the Kli Sheni, even though the temperature is still hot. The rabbis are like, we know, we don't care. This is what is happening. These two things, the Iroi Kli Rishon, the stream of water passing through the air, and the transfer to a new cup or bowl or whatever, is going to cool it down enough that this does not cook.
Why do we do two?
Hold on, this is two cups. This is Kli Rishon, this is Kli Sheni.
Why do I do?
Because, Ms. Rashti, there is a challenge when it comes to some foods that cook really, really easily. And they are called items that are kal levashel, easy to cook. Easy to cook means in terms of the amount of time. Is there a difference between a potato being put in an oven and how long it takes to cook that, or in a bowl of boiling water, and a tea bag? Yes. Or a very small, this is from the Gemara, everyone knows about the Spanish mackerel. No one knows what the heck it is, but there's always like pictures and descriptions of a Spanish mackerel. Basically, very small raw fish do have a problem. Thank you so much for turning off the phone of someone who left the class. Answer it, just answer it. Just do it. Okay. Some things, Hannah, are you listening? Are really easy to cook. I would say a tea bag. Like tea leaves in a tea bag. Tea leaves in a tea bag. You just add a little bit of hot water. Look, they're done. Right? So tea leaves. What else would you put over here?
Coffee? Everything's a lot. If it's not coffee, that's crazy.
So I'll tell you why it's not coffee. Because coffee is cooked already.
So you don't need to
Out of the jar. Hold on. Out of the jar. You take that freeze-dried coffee. We have something to rely upon called ein bishul achar bishul. It's already cooked. It was just frozen, right? Flash, whatever, frozen, and put it to the bus. So that actually is pre-cooked. Even Turkish coffee. Weirdly enough, I heard it on Shior. I was driving to the city at 5 a.m. this morning, heard a shiur of one of my colleagues who became a big Torah scholar, who was actually in class with me, Rabbi Bernstein, and he pointed out even Turkish coffee, you know, the mud coffee bots, you know, in Israel, the coffee bots, even that is roasted beforehand, and once it's roasted, en bishul, achar bishul, it's pre-cooked. But if it's a raw, easily cooked item, like tea leaves, i.e. tea bag, or even raw leaves, or herbs like pepper. Pepper is in
Like ground pepper?
like ground pepper, yeah. Like peppercorns, you know what I'm saying? Pepper, you put salt and pepper, right?
Like the vegetable.
No, not the vegetable. So that would be very easily cooked. So they're like, okay, what am I going to do? I want to make a cup of tea on Shabbat. So like, you know what? There is a concept that is called Kli Shlishi. If that's number one, Kli Rishon, and that's number two, we're going to do the same process again. We're going to pour this Kli Sheni, okay, into another pot called a Kli Shlishi, which is spoken about. Not everyone agrees with this. Not everyone uses this idea, but it's spoken about, it's mentioned, and it does work. Sfardim are very lenient with this, although the Sfardi poskim say best to cook the tea before Shabbat, but if you don't, you can definitely rely upon this, and many Ashkenazim as well. But what's happening? However your community deals with it, that's none of my business. I'm going to pour the kli sheni into another cup. When this pours out, right, this is my kli sheni, yeah? Here's my kli sheni, you see him? Now I'm going to pour it over here into this. This liquid over here has gone through the process of iroi twice. Iroi kli rishon, iroi kli sheni. Got it? And dofnot makarot, how many times? Twice. Twice. Into this pot over here. So this is a kli shlishi, and this doesn't cook anything, even things that are kal lavashel, easy to cook. That's how it comes together. Does everyone rely upon the kli shlishi? No. I'm a rabbi in 2 synagogues, assistant rabbi or second rabbi, whatever I call it. Neither of them are full-time, and one of them I'm not even paid for, Baruch Hashem. And I walked in, it's an Ashkenazi synagogue, and I walk in, and I'm giving a shiur, and I got a cup of tea with a tea bag sitting outside. In the tea bag, you got like a tea, the string with a tab on it. And the rabbi of the shul is a big chashuv rabbi. He says, "What are you doing? You're breaking Shabbat. Put that away." All right? He said it tongue-in-cheek, but he was being serious. And I'm like, I'm Sephardi, and Sephardim, and many Ashkenazim too, hold by a concept called kli shlishi, right? That says it's not mavashel, even things, doesn't cook things that are even easy to cook, like a tea bag. So he's like, yeah, but put the tab away because there'll be people who think you can do it, and we don't hold by that. I was like, out of respect for him, I did that. But it works. Actually, according to Sephardim, get ready for this one, Avad Yosef says for the Sephardim that actually all you need in order to make tea on Shabbat is, well, not kli sheni, but I want to get it very clear, kli rishon into kli sheni, and then you can pour the kli sheni directly onto the tea bag that's inside the kli shlishi. Meaning, all you need is 1 iroi, 2 iroi, but only 1 dofnot makarot. Does that make sense? That means I can take an empty cup, put a tea bag inside it, and pour from the kli sheni directly onto the tea bag. He says, though, but if you do it this way and let it hit an empty kli shlishi, then add the tea bag into it, tavo alav bracha, you get a bracha. By the way, when rabbis say that, what do you mean you get a bracha? How do rabbi poskim always say that? If you follow the stringency, you get a bracha. Who's giving you the bracha? The person who's saying it. He's saying, I'll give you a bracha if you follow this. So the general custom is to let the water go from kli rishon to kli sheni to kli shlishi, and then put the tea bag inside kli shlishi. That's the best way to do it. Are we together? Does every community do this? No. What do the other communities do? 1 second. So the best way to do it, if you look up the Star K or any of the other, Ashkenazic ways of following, they all say the best way to do it is Erev Shabbat, take a tea bag, cook it, right? Boil it or add boiling water. Then you leave that hot tea essence, on a platter, on a heat source. And then on Shabbat, you're going to add that hot tea essence to that hot water, hot and hot, no problem, and you have a cup of tea. And that's probably the best way to do it for everybody. But if not, you can rely upon the kli shlishi concept. Are we together? Okay, questions?
So Rav Avadia said 2 iris and 1 dofnot.
Is probably enough, yeah.
I don't understand. Don't you have to, aren't they correlated? If you're doing one, then you're also doing the other.
No. Follow carefully. Kli rishon ala eish. I take it off. I pour it. This is my urn. I pour the water into here. It's a kli sheni now. It's had iroi and it's had dofnot makarot. Okay? This can cook. The walls of the pot are going to cool it down. The walls of the bowl are going to cool it down. I'm now inside here. And I'm going to pour he said you could take this kli sheni and pour it directly onto a tea bag. So there's going to be iroi kli sheni, right? But I'm not using the dofnot makarot in that third vessel. That actually works. Are you following what I'm saying? A lot of an empty cup with a tea bag inside it. I'm now pouring directly from my kli sheni onto the tea bag. He says, actually, that's fine. He says that's going to work, but he says better not to. Just empty the water from the kli rishon to kli sheni to kli shlishi, Now you got a third cup, meaning third after it's been through this process, and put tea bag into that water, and that is what I do, and that is the procedure that those who hold by Kli Shlishi will use, yeah.
So, when can you use a Kli Sheni only?
If you are, very, very good. So when is a Kli Sheni actually? So Kli Sheni does not really have the power to cook anything. Having said that, some items, like things that are freeze-dried, like coffee, they say you should probably, just in case, use a Kli Sheni, just to be clear. Just to be clear. Funny, I had a student here who went through the class of the conversion, and she said the 3 rabbis asked her these questions when it comes to Shabbat, right, during her conversion test, and started having a big fight where the coffee needs Kli Sheni, Kli Rishon, Kli Shlish. Was a whole fight while she was being converted. And she was like, we'll discuss that in class. Yeah, so that's a big one. So when it comes to freeze-dry coffee, the general custom, truth be told, is probably enough just to pop it directly from the Kli Rishon into a cup with coffee inside it. But the general custom is that we say, just put into a Kli Sheni, water the Kli Sheni, then add the coffee inside the Kli Sheni. It's got when I say Kli Sheni, you know what I'm talking about, right? The cup that has received this. Okay. We're going to move on from this to the next phase in a minute, but yeah.
I heard that if you're going to add milk to it, then you should use a Kli Shlishi for coffee because then it would cook the milk.
Oh, I hear what you're saying. You probably don't need to do that, although it is a davar lach shenitztanen. God bless you. Why? Because all milk has been pasteurized and cooled down. So people rely upon that, and you probably do not need to do that. You could probably put milk directly into, because there are some say it's fine, into a Kli Sheni is okay. But you're right, directly milk into a Kli Rishon ala eish is a problem. But adding it to a Kli Sheni is probably okay, right? Because it's a cooked liquid that's cooled down. That's going to be okay. All right? Okay, so let's do in the next question when it comes to this, and it goes like this. It's now Friday night, and you're serving hot chicken soup. Yep. And you want to put pepper or salt or some other herb or croutons into your soup. They're raw. Can you do that? Yes. Think about the question very carefully. And yes is not an answer, and no is not. Give me an explanation why. Oh, look at you. Very good. How'd you get that? Oh, good girl. I learned it in high school too, but I didn't remember a blessed word, unfortunately, my Rebbe was saying, because I didn't care at that point. Okay, so it goes like this. So now we have a situation. Oh, by the way, there's also going to be a little difference between Ashkenaz and Sephardim when it comes to this too. Okay, so now it's Shabbat, and I want to serve my chicken soup, right? So I take the pot, and we're going to see later on that you have to take it off the fire, okay, to serve it. You don't serve directly from the fire. That's rabbinic, right? It's called magis, but we'll come to that in a second. So I pull the pot off, okay? Take it off, no problem.
If you pull it off, it's still considered clean. Is that?
That is very, very good. That is a Kli Rishon lo ala eish. There are some differences, but now we consider that to be the same thing. That's still got it's still retained enough heat that it's considered a Kli Rishon, although it is correctly called a Kli Rishon lo al ha'esh, not on the fire.
How long it's been sitting off the heat?
No, once it cools down, you're okay. I mean, it could go down completely. You've got to make a judgment call on that. So now I'm going to pull my thing out. So I'm going to serve it, and I put it into a bowl. And now I'm sitting there, I'm like, wait a minute, can I put croutons? Can I put pepper? Can I put salt? What can I put inside my bowl? So the short answer is, well, everyone at this point relies on Kli Shlishi. Why? Because I've taken my ladle, which we're going to call a kaf. This is the laws of kaf, which means a spoon, right? And I'm going to draw out the soup into my bowl. The soup pot is a Kli Rishon. The ladle is a Kli Sheni. The bowl you pour it into is a Kli Shlishi. Unless you keep the ladle inside the pot so it stays hot. That's a problem. Then it's going to remain a Kli Rishon in and of itself. So you don't want to store the ladle inside the pot itself, in between servings. That's pretty much how it works. But even taken out sporadically, you should be okay. And therefore, you are allowed to put things that are kal levashel into your soup bowl on Shabbat.
Can you please repeat, like, the thing?
Repeat the thing, everything you said. Thank you, Esther. That's great. How far back do you want to go?
Yeah.
Ladle. Great. I'm pouring soup on Shabbat. Right? I want to put pepper in my soup. You can't put pepper in soup. It's kal levashel. No problem. Soup bowl, soup pot, kli rishon. Ladle goes in. It's a kli sheni. Pours it into another soup bowl, kli shlishi. We have the irui. Well, you have enough. You have dofin makarot. You're good to go. You're good to go, and you could do that.
Wait, the first kli is the
Kli rishon, the pot itself. Kli sheni, dofin makarot is the ladle, and the bowl you put it into is the kli shlishi, and therefore you can put pepper or other stuff inside there.
Why can't you keep the ladle and that's where we
Because
feel-
it's going to stay so hot that it's going to take on the status of the kli rishon that it's inside, and I need it to act as a kli sheni before it gets to my bowl, a kli shlishi. Ta-da! Yeah, I know. I told you there's a lot here. Baruch Hashem shelo asani goy. Okay, here we go.
What does that mean? I don't get the joke.
That I don't have to worry about this, you see, because I'll be like, oh, if I wasn't Jewish, I could do any of this, you see. I didn't say it was a good joke. I said it was a joke. Thank you. Okay. All right, so that's the laws of kaf when it comes to the ladle, and that's why you're allowed to do that. Just another little question, which is there a difference between different types of cooking? Is boiling considered the same as deep frying, as opposed to baking, ofer, tzli, right, metugan? So according to Sephardi poskim, they're all the same. Once it's cooked, no matter how it's being cooked, so that means if they baked little croutons, and you were put inside a boiling hot bowl of soup, that's fine. En bishul acha bishul. Some Ashkenazim are stringent, but even they will hold by a kli shlishi at this point. They will hold by a kli shlishi and say kli shlishi is fine for this. Do you understand? They're like, once you've baked these croutons, Sephardim like, once it's baked, roasted, cooked, boiled, fried, cooked is cooked. Once it's completely cooked, you can reheat it. Ein bishul acha bishul. Some people say, well, cooking after baking is actually a new cooking process, and they're strict. But even they will be like, it's okay. Once you hit kli shlishi, once you've been through the late and into a bowl, then you're good to go. Yeah? How about a potato?
That's really hard.
How about it? How about a potato? What? How about cooking something inside a potato? Yeah, inside a potato. Baruch atah Adonai melech haolam shehakol nivaro. Thank you, Ayala, for the dragon fruit mango organic lemon water. Actually, it really tastes terrible.
Oh, I don't like it. I like those.
It's okay. I'm kidding. It's fine.
They're good. Rabbi, it's supposed to be healthy.
Yeah. They saw you coming, didn't they? They put a little picture of a little fruit on the front. Make it pink. It must be healthy. How can something pink not be healthy? Come on. No, it's got stevia in it.
Yeah, stevia. That's not aspartame. Stevia? No.
I have a very inappropriate joke. Can I tell you an inappropriate joke?
Aspartame's straight.
I was like, yeah, you better say one. It's not too inappropriate. It's not that kind of inappropriate. A guy goes to a bar. He's like, give me a little inappropriate. Give me a packet of Splenda, equal, the powder, and a mirror and a razor. What? Just give me a pack of Splenda, a mirror and a razor. And he takes Splenda, cuts it up, and he snorts it. He goes, what are you doing? He goes, I'm having a Diet Coke.
That's so funny. That's really funny.
Thank you. Mirror, it's very difficult to tell with you because you don't seem to laugh, but that was actually a very good joke.
No, but it's funny.
Diet Coke, you get it?
That's really funny.
Not too inappropriate, no. Because that's what they use to snort. Okay, whatever.
It's a diet sugar. Snorting real coke.
All right, I should never have mentioned that joke. Let's obliterate that and do not mention that. What happened? Oh, a penny dropped. Now you got it? Ayala, did you get it first time, Ayala? You got it?
I honestly lost focus.
Okay, good. Baruch Hashem. If you're going to lose focus on anything, let it be the jokes and not the... Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate the affirmation. All right, can we get back to our pots, please? Okay.
Can you add salt the same way?
Very, very good. So, very good question. Can you add salt to anything? Can you add salt to a kli rishon or a kli sheni? Can you add salt?
Because you're not cooking it.
Are you cooking salt when you add salt?
Salt is dissolvable. It's not
I like salt cooked.
Just because it's dissolvable doesn't mean it's...
I actually heard that sea salt could be cooked and Himalayan salt could be cooked.
Okay.
So, like,
This is great. This whole Himalayan salt thing. Oh, now my wife and I, we love the... First of all, there's no pink salt in the Himalayas. All your pink salt coming from Pakistan. That is actually what happened. But it doesn't sound good. Pakistan, Himalayas. They call it Himalayan salt. It's Pakistani salt. That's what it is. Okay. So that's a very interesting distinction you made, though, between salt. Salt is actually pre-cooked. When they take it out of the ground, they use a hot source of like water or things to take it out. So therefore, salt is considered cooked, and we say, Ein Bishul Achar Bishul. It's not a problem. You can add salt. What you can't do, say the rabbis, is add it to a kli rishon ala eish because it looks like you're cooking, which we're going to talk about next class. The rabbis come along and be like, you can't, but really, according to the Torah, it's cooked. Once it's cooked, it's fully cooked, and therefore you can. Yeah, I've never had that distinction between Himalayan salt and regular table salt. I could look into that. As far as I'm concerned, they would be exactly the same. I don't see the difference because in order to get it into that crystallized state, it's gone through some very strong heat processing, which has cooked it from its raw state, if it ever was in a raw state. Okay? So you can look that up. Okay, good. That's going to look up. You can add it into anything at all, as opposed to pepper or tea leaves that are genuinely raw and have to go into kli shlishi.
But you can't add it onto flame.
Nothing we're going to see. According to the rabbis, that's rabbinic. We're not to the rabbinic bit yet. But according to the rabbanim, you cannot put any food or items into a pot on the flame because it looks like you're cooking. If it's off the flame, then that's fine. It loses that status of looking like it's being cooked. Good? Are we together? Yeah, but it's actually got a special name for Shabbos. It's called Mechsek Mavashal, we'll see, which is a specifically Shabbat halacha maris ayin thing. We'll get to that later on, though. I have a lot to say on that. There's a lot we're going to... that's what the blech is, actually. The blech is there to remove that aspect. But we'll get to that later. Yeah?
Bishul achar bishul is something that's cooked.
A solid that is fully cooked. What happened to my potato?
So then you
Just the potato. What about potato? Okay, fine. I have a potato. I want to put pepper on my potato. Can I put pepper or butter on my potato? Don't just say no. Why?
It cooks it. It cooks the butter.
Why?
Because the potato's really hot.
1 second. I'll take my potato. I'll put it into one pot, into another pot. Right? I've got irui. I've got... Yes. So a potato is a davar gush. It's a solid item. It retains its heat. So that cholent you can put solid. But putting pepper onto a cholent when it's got hot meat that retains the heat, or the potato that retains the heat, that is problematic. It doesn't have the benefit of a liquid passing through the air and being cooled down by the next kli. Can you put ketchup onto a baked potato?
No.
Forget ooh. What's cooked already? Would you not say davar lach shenitztanen? Is it a liquid or is it a solid? Is ketchup a liquid or a solid? Does it? It may slowly get out. Okay, so here we rely upon the leniency of those that say davar lach shenitztanen, A davar lach, a wet thing, shenitzdana that is cooled down, does not have the ability to cook. We say ein bishul achar bishul davar lach. It's not considered cooking, and you can put ketchup directly onto a baked potato, as opposed to pepper.
Wait, what's the difference?
If it's a liquid, if it's not a liquid, it's not a problem at all. But even if you do categorize it as a liquid, you can do it.
Oh, because ketchup, you're saying.
Yeah, ketchup, yeah.
Salt on things?
So we said it's cooked already. Do whatever you want with it.
Pepper on things?
Pepper, no. Unless it's a kli shlishi. Once you have kli shlishi, you're okay.
You put pepper on a potato.
Because the potato retains its heat. It's like a mini oven. That's the way I always pictured it. Your baked potato that's hot, a hot potato, right, is like a mini oven, and it's able to cook things that touch it. It has retained its heat. That's why people put cholent into a separate bowl, right? Because they don't want raw items, salads and stuff, to touch it and be affected by it.
Wait, yeah, but that's Bishul?
That, I guess it would be, yeah, to some degree, yeah.
Is it a problem if it can, like, let's say, cook something so that can be eaten raw also?
Oh, there is a distinction if that item could be eaten raw, yeah. There is something on that. I have to look that up again. There is such a thing, yeah. On vegetables. There's a leniency by the vegetables.
Baked potato with like cheese, and the cheese melts, but like you could eat.
That's fine. If, when it's applied, it's a solid, even if it becomes liquid afterwards, then it's okay. It's considered a solid.
So if you put a salad on the cheese, it's fine?
If you what?
If you're putting a salad on the cheese, it's fine?
No. I'm saying the cheese itself can go onto the potato.
But like most vegetables are
In order to melt it.
I thought, what's
Wait a minute. Now you're confusing me. 1 second. Slow down.
Oh my god.
Kaf, Chamrei Bishul, Davar Gush. One may pour ketchup onto hot chicken, even if the chicken is a Davar Gush, because ketchup is cooked during its processing, although it is a Davar Lach, which ordinarily may not be. So you could be lenient by ketchup, yeah.
So you can use it on Shabbos? Wait, no, that's a cool. Did you just say that's a smoothie?
Wait, so this applies to any solid food?
That's been cooked already. What do you mean in solid food? Which aspect?
Potatoes retain.
Potato retains its heat. Yeah, any solid, like a piece of meat, retains its heat. According to many authorities, davar gush foods, you know what davar gush means, right? The hot solids, such as chicken, meat, or children, should not be served on a plate together with uncooked side dishes, because the raw vegetables of their dressing are likely to come into contact with the hot, solid food. Probably called Bishul. I think Sfardim are lenient with this. Depends what that thing is. It depends what the garnish is. I mean, what is the thing? Chives are considered, right. Chives are a...
What if it's not? Yeah, it's the let it.
Wow. He says, davar gush is in a liquid, though. Many people say, if it's in a liquid, then it retains the status of the liquid in which it is immersed. Yeah, so that would be okay. Yeah, you could. Did I go too fast, too far?
Yeah, I'm still stuck on the ketchup since.
Did you get my joke at least?
Yes.
The one I said before?
yeah.
Okay, that's what I care about.
But what
Yeah,
about
what did you say?
ketchup?
So
And
ketchup,
what about
so ketchup, slow down, watch out. So ketchup, we said, can be put on a hot potato, although it's a liquid, because it was previously cooked. And we are lenient by the ketchup on the hot potato.
Wait, you cannot put ketchup on a hot potato.
You can put ketchup on a hot potato, even though you would think, why? Right? Because why? It's a liquid that's cold, and you can't. So it's pre-cooked. So we are lenient by that as a pre-cooked item, and we give it the status as ein bishul achar bishul. Yeah.
If your hot potato touches a raw vegetable or something, but it doesn't get to 30%, it gets to like 29, then you can do bishul.
Well, if it's an easy thing, that's a fair question. I don't know. The minhag is to be machmir and to treat a davar gush with all the restrictions of a kli rishon for practical purposes. So we are careful about it. I know Sfarim are More lenient when it comes to this stuff. Yeah. Okay. Today, the most important part I wanted to do was the kalim aspect. The other bits we're going to revisit later on. And the kaf, the ladle thing I wanted to cover today, which we did as well. And the davar gush thing. We're going to revisit the davar gush thing. Next class, we're going to have a look at all the rabbinic enactments of it. There's a whole plethora that we'll do next class, Mr. Hashem. Yes, Esther?
So with the butter, we're not allowed to put it on the hot
I have to look into that. Let me see what the Sfardim say on this one. Give me 1 second. Hold on. Let's see what Ravada Sef says. If he has it, use solar water, cooking, derivatives. Reheating a jelly donut, reheating a gel fat. Heating butter. Pasteurized milk is considered cooked in the halachic context. So a Sephardi would be okay. It's considered cooked. Right? Because butter comes from milk, which is being pasteurized, right? So that is the same as ketchup. Even raw milk has been through some kind of processing, hasn't it? Hasn't it been pasteurized? Ew. What, from udder to mouth? Yep. That's utterly ridiculous. That's a good joke. Therefore, permit to heat butter on Shabbat or put butter on a hot dish on Shabbat. Says Avar Yosef. Yitgadal v'yitgal Hashem rabah. Okay, we'll stop over there. We'll pick this up next class, Mr. Hashem. Well done, people. Well done.